as long as you pay just compensation. But Chapter 61A is a whole different process, and that gives you a very limited time window in which to exercise the option, the option to purchase the property. Now, if town meeting were to approve this tonight, the selectmen would have approximately 2 weeks to decide whether or not to go forward, and the next step would be, as I think I indicated, recording a notice at the registry that the town is exercising its option to purchase. At that point, we step into the shoes of the buyer under the purchase and sale agreement, and there's no dispute that the buyer has the right to access the property and to inspect the property. Now, we would certainly argue that that right of inspection, which the town would acquire by virtue of exercising the option, includes the right to conduct a 21E investigation for hazardous waste, and we would argue be able to back out of that agreement if in fact there were conditions on that site that indicated the presence of hazardous waste. Whether or not the sellers would agree with that, whether we would be in litigation, I can't speculate tonight on that question. Certainly, though, we're not going to do anything going forward without a town meeting vote.
Gentleman at the microphone, please state your name and address, sir.
George Stack, 11 Swan Pond Road, a member of the Hillview Study Committee back many years ago. When we looked at that property, we took approximately 9 months, 5 nights a week, 3 to 4 hours a night to research and to get everything organized to bring to you. You're being asked to buy a piece of property here with no knowledge, about half an hour of discussion, and no idea of what would be done with it. So I'd like to call to question, please.
The chair will not accept the motion for the question. Gentleman at the microphone, please state your name and address, sir.
Chuck Hardesty, Batchelder Ave. I've heard that there are other properties in town, good size. I'm wondering if any of the rest of them are under 61 and whatever this is. And if we're going to be facing this situation more, or if we're allowing people to get by with reduced taxes, before we give them that, can we at least get access to what it is in there so we don't find this situation happening again?
The question was, what is the town taking any precautions to avoid this happening again?
There have been no other 61A properties that are in front of us right now to purchase.
Mr. Jerby, what's your question?
We can't speak because there are no other ones that have been put before us for development purposes. Because we have the first option on 61A. When they're ready to be prepared, they'll send us an option. We have not received any other options but this property at this point.
Mr. Jerby.
I want to make sure this gets thoroughly discussed, so I move to amend Article 10 by deleting the existing wording and substituting it with, I move to take parcel 62-064 by eminent domain for the purpose of affordable housing for the appraised value of $680,000 and to authorize funding by bonding.
The chair is going to have to take this under advisement for a minute or two. It's not clear. It is not clear that the motion to amend is within the 4 corners of the article, and the chair will declare a recess of 120 seconds to look it over and either accept the motion or reject it, depending whether it is within the 4 corners of the article. On the motion to amend, there are elements to the motion, the surviving motion, which would be to take the parcel by eminent domain, which is in the article, for the purpose of affordable housing, which is not in the article, but is a restriction. The previous, the article as worded allows for any municipal use. The amended motion only allows to use the land for the purpose of affordable housing for the appropriated value of $680,000 and to authorize funding by bonding. The amount, $680,000, is below the $1.25 million that was in the original motion, and there was no amount mentioned in the article, so that is in order. And to authorize funding by bonding, which is, I believe, which is part of the article. Or borrow a sum of money. So therefore, the motion to amend is within the four corners of the article and can be considered. Since there's been some confusion going on, I'll just read the motion to amend one more time. I move to amend Article 10 by deleting the existing wording and substituting it with, I move to take parcel 62-064 by eminent domain for the purpose of affordable housing for the appraised value of $680,000 and to authorize funding by borrowing. The motion to amend presented by Stephen Jervie. The motion to amend requires a simple majority vote. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend? Board of Selectmen wishes to caucus. Mr. Murphy.
The Board of Selectmen unanimously recommend that you vote against the amendment. It's also very, among many other things, it's extremely restrictive in that it would require the town to develop affordable housing on that parcel, no other municipal use. Don't know why we would do that. I would urge you to vote down the amendment. Thank you.
Mr. Tower.
What?
All right, we'll take the gentleman here first.
Jack Collins, 23 Tower Hill Road. Could I get an explanation on this, the clock situation here? I'm hearing 120 days we have to research this. Now I'm hearing that it's 2 weeks we have left. When does the clock start? Is it as soon as we see the purchase and sale agreement from the prospective buyer? If that is the fact, why wasn't there an instant emergency town meeting brought in so we could discuss this? What's the situation? Why do we have to wait for town meeting to have this clock if it already started ticking so 72 days or so ago?
Mr. Murphy.
We received the purchase and sale on June 18th, I believe. The board then discussed it at its next meeting. We had several discussions about it. We did some preliminary investigative work. The board had no firm decisions. We requested input from all the departments. We received no input back from the departments. We received no input back from the departments. We then held a public hearing. We received input at the public hearing. Nothing firm, nothing set in stone, no clear direction. The board was trying to find a direction. We then spent time investigating all of the costs, the impact to the budget, revising the budget, the bond schedule to understand, make sure we had everything in. As a matter of fact, we got the latest version of that this evening. So we have been doing the work. We also worked very hard to try to gain access to the property to no avail. So we have been working to try to resolve it. We do only have 2 weeks left. This is a very unfortunate situation.
But the 120 days is what type of requirement? For the town to access it through town meeting, or the selectmen to access it?
For the Board of Selectmen to take action. As a matter of fact, for the Board of Selectmen to take action, right? Absent, if we take action, it's got to then be funded in order for us to go and record it. So we need,
I just
If-
don't understand if the town meeting has to appropriate or authorize you to take it. I don't understand why we don't have the 20 days after we make that authorization to you guys.
It's not the way the law is written. So really what your question is why didn't we call it a town meeting for June 20th?
Correct.
Because we didn't know anything, and we still know nothing now. What a shame. But that's the way it's worked because of denial of access, working through legal counsel, and trying to put together information. I've never seen anything like it in my life either. Thank you.
Mr. Jervy, do you wish to speak to your motion? Mr. Jervy?
My goal right now is really to explore this question. I honestly believe that we're being denied access because somebody is trying to weasel out of a commitment that they made to get a reduced tax. I don't like that. I don't know what this land is worth, but I trust the real estate expert who says it will appreciate in value because land does that. And if we take it, I don't think we'll come out the losers in the long run. A part of me just wants to call the bluff of these people, but I do want to know what that would get us in for. I put in for affordable housing because you have to take, when you take by eminent domain, there has to be a reason. I certainly don't mind modifying that reason in any way that is suggested by the Board of Selectmen or Town Council. But I really want to explore this question. What can we do here to preserve the community's rights? We've given up a great deal of tax revenue. We have rights here, and I want them protected.
Mr. Giorgio?
Mr. Moderator, I want to caution town meeting on this amendment. First of all, if you vote the amendment the way it was proposed, the town will lose the opportunity to acquire this land through the right of first refusal, because the only way that you can do that is by agreeing to the purchase price of $1.25 million. And that opportunity will be lost. I'm also concerned because in order to take land by eminent domain, it is a legal requirement that you have an appraisal done on the property. And that I have not seen any formal appraisal of this property indicating, I believe the figure was $680,000 or whatever it was. I've seen no formal appraisal by a certified appraiser to support that value. And I am concerned that town meeting not vote a particular appropriation without having done the homework to support the value. While town meeting can certainly vote to take land by eminent domain, you have to be careful that you proceed in good faith, that you follow the requirements of the law, and one of those is, as I said, a formal appraisal of the property.
Mr. Woods?
I just wanted to share some information with you. When we were looking at the property for analysis for Parks and Rec, which Parks and Rec does not recommend, there are approximately 14 acres of wetland area. There's 2 acres that are consisted primarily of ledge, and then there's 11 plus or minus, mostly minus, acres of upland area, and it's mostly minus. And I also just need to remind this body that when you're talking about a 40B comprehensive permit, that the Board of Health is not subject to the they are not usurped by their authority under 40B. Unlike the Planning Commission, who does not have a say in a 40B, the Board of Health does, so that in the event that the land does not perk out and it is too wet, Board of Health is the one agency that will be able to say how many units would go on the property. Thank you.
Mr. Sturtevant, has the Finance Committee taken a position on the amendment?